From this LEGO minifigure vending machine that actually works to Easter eggs you never would have known about. These are 115 shocking features in LEGO. Up first is a super secret reference in the LEGO Spider-Man Ultimate Bridge battle set. If you think you know all the Easter eggs and references in this set, guess again, because as random as this 1962 piece may look, it's a reference to something that only true Spider-Man fans would know. 1962 is actually the year when Spider-Man was first seen in a comic book. He was featured in Amazing Fantasy Volume 15, way back in the day, so I highly doubt you've ever seen it before. There's no way you know about this reference, but some of the other secrets in this video are even harder to spot, so make sure you watch all the way until the end. Up next is actually a secret second part to an Easter egg that's already super famous, and it's in the LEGO Mario Question Block set. Since this set is based on a video game, there are loads of Easter eggs you can find, but one of the most famous ones is the fact that you can pull up a tab on the front of the set and find a mini brick-built Bowser. As crazy as it sounds, this Easter egg actually has a second part. To find it, all you have to do is push down on the platform that Bowser is standing on, and an entirely separate compartment will pop out at the bottom. The coolest thing about this second part is that it's a huge reference in and of itself. In Super Mario N64, the only way Mario can beat Bowser is if he picks him up by his tail and spins him around. And with this secret platform, you can actually recreate that, which is super sick. Most of the time, the craziest references in LEGO are in the pieces, especially for sets like the Daily Bugle. But this time, I have one for you that's hidden in a minifigure. This set is notorious for how many minifigures it comes with, which of course I'm not complaining about, but it makes it super easy to miss a certain detail. The Jonah Jameson minifigure has two faceplates on his headpiece, and one of them is a reference to a very specific scene in the movies. LEGO doesn't even advertise this on the website, so you'd literally never know he had two. But the second faceplate is him with webs over his mouth. If you don't know the Spider-Man movies like the back of your hand, this probably went right over your head. But in Spider-Man from 2002, there's a scene where the Green Goblin attacks Jameson inside the Daily Bugle. Luckily for him, Peter was just in his office, so Spider-Man was able to get in between the two of them. However, as usual, Jameson starts running his mouth, and instead of just telling him to shut up, Spider-Man webs his mouth shut so he can't talk anymore. This was a super funny scene in the movie, and I love that the designers brought that moment over to the set. I mean, they were super dedicated. The designers leave hidden messages, like the one in the LEGO Ideas typewriter set. Since this set is in LEGO Ideas, that means it was made by a fan, and that fan's name is Steve Guinness. Instead of the typical initials that you'll usually see, like on the license plate of the James Bond car set, Guinness used this as a chance to send a message to anybody who might build his set. On the back, there's something that looks like a serial number, but these letters actually stand for something. The first two are his initials, but the letters that follow stand for never give up on your dreams. And honestly, this is probably the best message you can send to anybody. It sounds corny, but it packs a punch. I mean, I'm chasing my dreams right now just by making this video. So to keep things going, let me show you an Easter egg in the LEGO Atari set. If you've watched videos on LEGO Easter eggs, then you've probably seen the secret Mario level in the NES set. And this Atari one is actually pretty similar. Instead of taking a panel off like how you do for the NES, instead you just pull the flat part of the Atari forward. And when you go far enough, a cool little living room will pop up. It looks like it's supposed to be a typical kid's room back when this console first came out, but I can't be too sure. I mean, I'm not old or anything. Regardless, this is a really cool Easter egg, especially because it's basically a play feature. But there's a certain type of Easter egg in LEGO sets that's a cut above the rest. I'm talking about when LEGO throws in Easter eggs that were made in real life, like when they put the A113 logo in the Cars spy plane set, except the one I want to show you is way more well known. I'm talking about hidden Mickeys, and in case you've never heard of them, they're basically Easter eggs in real life. If you go to any Disney theme park, you can find these things hidden throughout the entire park. People go crazy looking for them, to the point where they even try to find and count every single one at every park. But what set did LEGO throw a hidden Mickey into? Well, the answer is Elsa's Castle, which is low-key kind of crazy if I'm being honest. I wouldn't expect a set this small and underhyped to have an Easter egg this meaningful, but maybe that was just LEGO trying to make it harder to find. Because the harder it is to find, the more rewarding it feels. And the knowledge you need to understand the Apollo 11 lander is probably something a lot of us don't have. The details in this set are unmatched. I especially love the little minifigure footprints on the moon. But what I want to show you is actually hidden inside the lander. If you take off the top part of the set, you can see two barrels sitting near the middle, one white and one red. Well, these barrels are actually supposed to carry fuel for the rocket and an oxidizer. I just learned this right now, but apparently it's impossible to use fuel in space without an oxidizer. So not only is this set made to minifigure scale, but it's super accurate to the real world. With stuff like this, you can tell that LEGO really cares about people. But there's a new feature with certain sets that takes this meaning to a whole new level, and it's hiding in plain sight. LEGO just recently collabed with Hidden Sunflowers, a company that originated in England. They're an organization that helps people with non-visible disabilities discreetly let people know that they have one, and all they have to do is wear a sunflower lanyard. LEGO announced the collab late last year, and there are already 3 sets that feature minifigures with these lanyards. There's one in the LEGO Friends Heart Lake City Airport set, one in the up-and-coming First Time at the Airport set from LEGO Duplo, and the last one is hidden in the 2-door corner set in the Modular Buildings theme. If you take a look in the loft apartment, you'll find a tile piece on the wall with a little sunflower lanyard printed on it. The girl who lives in this apartment in the LEGO world is neurodivergent, so she lets people know by wearing her lanyard. This Easter egg has made this apartment pretty famous, but there's another LEGO apartment that's way more famous than this one, the LEGO Friends set. Obviously, this set is famous because of the show, but did you know that LEGO has an entire page on their website where they show you a ton of references in the set? LEGO claims that only the truest of Friends fans would be able to spot every reference, but by far the hardest one to know about were the chicken and duck pieces. These 2 pieces were in Joey and Chandler's apartment, and for those of you that don't get the reference, these 2 guys actually adopted a chick and a duck in season 3 of the show. Now, even though there are way more that I could talk about, I don't want to bore you guys with a bunch of Friends references. So instead, I'm going to show you some rapid-fire Easter eggs from the LEGO Movie 2 Apocalypseburg set. Since it's from a post-apocalyptic world, the designers reused a ton of LEGO elements from different sets, since the characters had to rebuild their own place to live. Number 1 is this design at the top of the set, which is actually a reference to LEGO Bionicle. Number 2 is the fact that LEGO used part of the giant truck set from 1996. Number 3 are these structures right here that look like they're straight from Ready Player One. Number 4 is that this gray piece is actually the engine from Hulk's car in the Hulk vs. Red Hulk set. And number 5 is that this piece right here is actually from the front of the Batmobile set from the LEGO Batman movie theme. All of these references are super sick, and some of them are way harder to find than others. But if there's one thing that's cooler than deep references like these, it's hidden minifigures. And the LEGO Disney Villain Icon set has loads of them. But first, take a look at this set. Isn't it sick? It's made up of some of the most popular Disney movies ever made. But not just that. They're made into VHS covers, VHS tapes, and books too. The secret minifigures are even cooler though. The first one is hidden in the apple from Snow White, where you can find the evil queen in her old woman disguise. The next one I'll show you is in the Sleeping Beauty VHS. And for this one, if you pull down at the top part of the graphic, Maleficent can be found lurking in the shadows. Next is the Aladdin tape at the bottom. And just like the Sleeping Beauty one, you just pull from the top of the graphic and find Jafar laying down. The last one is way harder to find though, and it's in the Beauty and the Beast book. At the bottom of the book, there's a little compartment that can be pulled out like a drawer, and this is where you can find Gaston. I honestly can't believe that LEGO hid this many minifigures in one set, but it makes it super fun for the builder, especially if they want to show it to someone. The hidden figures in the Capitol building set are a little different though. This set is part of the LEGO architecture theme, so the designers were super dedicated to getting every detail exactly right, including all of the statues in the middle of the set. Inside the real building, a bunch of statues surround the perimeter of the room, but since the LEGO version isn't scaled to minifigure size, the designers had to improvise. Instead of minifigs, they used blank nanofigures, one of the smallest figures made by LEGO. These figures represent the statues perfectly, so although it wasn't necessary, it makes the set that much better. Another super discreet detail can be found in the Land Rover Classic Defender set, and of course, since it's a car, it's on the back license plate. This isn't your average LEGO license plate Easter egg though. Instead of referencing the designer, these letters and numbers are actually important milestones in Land Rover's career. The first one, L316, is actually the model of Land Rover that LEGO used for the set, but the second one is a reference to a very specific Land Rover named Hugh 166. This car is quite literally called the most famous Land Rover ever, but it's for good reason. It's actually the first Land Rover ever made. Its registration number was Hugh 166, hence the name Hugh. But it's crazy that just 3 letters have such a deep backstory. When LEGO uses numbers and letters like this, it makes everyone happy. But have you ever seen a set where the number of pieces is a reference to? It's most famously done in the NASA Apollo Saturn V set, where the amount of pieces matches the year humanity first stepped on the moon, 1969. This type of Easter egg is actually a little more common than you might think, because something similar happened with the Mona Lisa set. It has 1,503 pieces, but because of the number, you probably wouldn't bother to think of it as a year. However, 1503 is actually the year that Leonardo da Vinci started painting the Mona Lisa. It took him 16 years to do it, but it's a well-known fact that 1503 is when he started. Is LEGO still putting Easter eggs and references like these in their sets though? It's a good question, so let me show you the brand new LEGO Twilight Cullen House. To answer the question, yes, of course LEGO is still going super hard with the Easter eggs. In fact, just like the Friends set, the Cullen House also has a page on LEGO's website, breaking down a bunch of different references. The funniest ones by far, though, have to be the baseball references in the living room. If you've never seen the Twilight series, basically, the Cullens are a family of vampires, but there's a super famous scene in the movies where they actually play baseball and use their powers to their advantage. It's only famous because of how random it is for the movie. So to commemorate it, LEGO added a baseball hat on the coffee table and a tile with bats on it on the wall. The only way to make LEGO Easter eggs any better is if they're funny. And to be honest, it doesn't get much better than this. Did you know that you can find power stars in the LEGO Mario question block set just like you can in the games? There are 10 you can find in total, and they're all used as play features with the Mario figure that comes with the set. But one of them is in a super weird place. Look at this picture of the set before it's finished. Can you see it? The star is right above this black beam, and it's super tiny. This is by far the hardest one to find in the whole set, but there are over 70 Easter eggs in the X-Men Mansion set, so let me show you some at a rapid-fire pace. This picture is based on a super famous cover from the Days of Future Past comic. 2 turrets are sitting in the front lawn, which was first seen in the Pride of the X-Men TV show. The fire exit is damaged by someone named Pyro, who funnily enough is a mutant with a fire power. The Nightcrawler has a poster which oddly looks like a circus poster, which makes a lot of sense since he was raised in a circus. And a golden pyramid can be found under the floor, which is a reference to the apocalypse made by N. Sahab Noor, otherwise known as the first of the X-Men. Anyways, the next Easter egg is in the Monkey Kid Megapolis City set. Remember how LEGO used to make wooden toys way back in the day? Well, do you also remember that one of their first toys was this wooden duck? Well, take a look at this. A micro version of it is just chilling in the Megapolis City set. It doesn't end there though. There's also a 2x2 tile piece on the back of the duck. But what exactly is this? Well, Monkey Kid himself actually drew this picture in the TV show. So not only is this a 2-in-1 Easter egg, but it represents the bridge between the show and LEGO. LEGO is really good at bringing stuff over from shows or movies to their sets, and one with a super famous and accurate Easter egg is the LEGO Harry Potter Gringotts Bank set. I talked about the Easter egg in Bellatrix Lestrange's vault in a different video, but this time I want to talk about the Sorcerer's Stone. In the Harry Potter universe, we find out that the stone is being kept in Vault 713. Only a very select group of people have this information, but if you go to that vault in the LEGO set, you can find the stone sitting right there behind a wall. Now, Hagrid did end up moving it in the movies, but come on, this is a LEGO set. We can give them some wiggle room. Another set with an Easter egg like this is the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage set. Just like every other set in LEGO's catalog, there are tons you can find, but the one I want to tell you about is actually hidden really well. In the movies, we find out that the only reason humans were able to bring dinosaurs back to life was by using frog DNA. So it makes a lot of sense why you're supposed to put a frog piece inside of the dinosaur. Just like that Pink Zane minifigure I talked about a few videos ago, if you don't have a ton of Jurassic Park knowledge, this would have went right over your head. Now, most Easter eggs can only be made once, but LEGO actually reused the same Easter egg twice. Almost. In my first video on LEGO Easter eggs, I showed you how Finn got the blood on his helmet censored in the LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens video game. Well, since then, another LEGO video game has been released with the exact same movie in it. So how did LEGO censor it this time? Well, instead of a green splotch, they had Finn find some cake on the battlefield, eat it, and get it all over his helmet. Pretty clever, LEGO. However, it's not as clever as the reference you hid in the LEGO Modular Police Station set. There seems to be a crack in the wall on the back of the station, which is a little weird, but I guess it's nothing out of the ordinary. However, there's a small cell on the other side of this crack with a bed and a toilet. And if you lift the bed up, not only is there a spoon hiding underneath it, but there's also a tunnel that leads to the crack on the outside. But the coolest part about this Easter egg isn't the crack, or the bed, or even the tunnel. It's the spoon. This is a direct reference to The Shawshank Redemption, one of the best prison movies ever made. LEGO always does a super good job with Easter eggs like this, whether it be the X-Men Mansion, Gringotts Bank, or the police station. They're super good at it. And another great example is in the Lord of the Rings Shire set. One of the most well-known scenes in those movies is when Gandalf throws the letter in the fire and reveals the One Ring to Frodo. So, of course, LEGO had to bring that over to the set. But wait a minute. where's the ring? This is just an envelope. Well, just turn the knob on the side and voila, the ring reveals itself to you just like it did for Frodo in the fireplace. It's super sick, but this next Easter egg is for all my Spider-Man fans. The Ultimate Bridge Battle set has a lot more Easter eggs than the 1962 piece that I covered in a different video, and I think you're really gonna like them. For starters, there's a room at the bottom of the bridge sealed off by some webs, but if you look at the top of one of them, you'll find a camera conveniently pointing at the room. This is probably a reference to the fact that Peter Parker was giving the Daily Bugle all of the pictures of Spider-Man for the newspaper, but it doesn't end here. One of the walls at the bottom of the bridge has Peter Parker's and Gwen Stacy's initials inside of a heart. Obviously, this is a reference to their love, but some fans think that this is a cryptic message telling us that this is the same bridge Gwen died on. That's just a conspiracy, but this next one was confirmed by the set designer. There's a sign for Route 25 on the bridge, but this highway is a lot more significant than you might know. It goes from the eastern tip of Long Island all the way down into Hell's Kitchen, which is exactly where Daredevil is from. A lot of stars had to align for this Easter egg to work, but like I said, the set designer confirmed it, so that's why the sign is even in here. Remember that wooden duck micro build from the Monkey Kid set? Well, you're gonna need to for this next Easter egg, because LEGO actually does this a lot. I showed you something similar in the Lion Knight's Castle set, but did you know that you can find two micro builds in the A-frame cabin set? The first one is the typewriter piece on the desk to reference the typewriter set, which honestly is a bit of a stretch. But this is absolutely a mini version of the LEGO Ideas Treehouse. There's no denying that. It's not often that LEGO includes a reference not everyone is sold on. But for a specific one in the Friends apartment set, if LEGO didn't tell us about it, I'm not sure how many people would have actually believed it. Monica's kitchen has a giant turkey sitting on the table, and since it can't fit on her head like it did in Season 5, Episode 8, it definitely isn't a reference to that. Luckily for us, LEGO listed a bunch of references for this set on their website, so we were able to find out that this turkey pays homage to all the Thanksgiving episodes Friends did over the years. But this isn't the only reference on Monica's kitchen table. There's also a brick-built version of Phoebe's dollhouse when it got lit on fire. It's by far one of the most well-known things to happen in Friends, so of course LEGO had to include it. Not every Easter egg has to be based on something else though. LEGO can get pretty creative with Easter eggs, and a good example of that is in the minifigure tribute set. It has some pretty sick Easter eggs, like the blue wristband that represents the one you get when you tour the LEGO house. But I want to show you something on the inside of the set. Pirates are almost always sailing the high seas, so what's the one thing they'd probably be thinking about while they're out there? If you need a little help, the island on the inside of the minifigure's head might be able to give you the answer. This is what I meant by LEGO being creative. Clearly, they never forget even the most important details, and it's obvious when you see what they did in the Sesame Street set. This set is pretty small, so there isn't a whole lot they could have done here, and unfortunately, not every character from Sesame Street got a minifigure in this set. But like I said, LEGO never misses the details. So not only is there a painting of Abby Cadabby on one of the walls, but they even added Oscar the Grouch's worm Slimy right outside of his trash can. There's also a big tile piece for Biff and Sully's construction company, a picture of Zoe and Rosita right next to Elmo's bed, and Big Bird's drawing of Mr. Hooper. Basically, the whole gang is here, which is especially good since this set was obviously made for kids. Moving on from that though, there's actually a really cool Easter egg in the mini Disney Castle set. Fun fact, the Disney Castle is actually the same one used in Cinderella. So technically, this is a set about Cinderella's castle. I'm sure the Disney superfans already knew that, but LEGO lets you know this fact in a super subtle way. If you take the top off of the central walkway, you'll find a tile piece of her glass slippers hiding on the inside. There's also a tile piece of the castle from what looks to be the intro to Everything Disney, which is a really nice touch. Obviously, these Easter eggs are pretty hard to find, but you know what set has them front and center? The Krusty Burger from The Simpsons, which is pretty crazy since this set literally just came out. The first few are on the back of the store. There's the obvious graffiti tag from Bart, but then there's also a sticker promoting Sideshow Bob's campaign for mayor. So of course LEGO had to accompany this with a rake. Then there's a missing poster for the Krusty Burglar, which of course is referencing the scene where a random kid in the crowd screams, "Stop! Stop! He's already dead." But the best one by far is at the grease trap. In Season 10, Homer starts a business selling grease, and the grease he was selling came straight from the Krusty Burger. He used a shovel to load the grease into Marge's car, which unfortunately isn't in this set, but the reference still holds true. Now for this next one, I want to take you to the Monkey Kid City of Lanterns set. Since this is a city, you already know there are tons of Easter eggs here, but the one I want to show you is actually really hard to spot. Because the city is so big, there's an information center that people can use to find their way around. And I know it sounds crazy, but the Easter egg is actually hiding right here in plain sight. See this guy on the tile piece with an eye on his head? Well, he's actually the Infomaniac from the Lego Island video game. This is one of the most subtle references I've seen in LEGO, so if you knew who this guy was, give yourself a pat on the back. Anyways, the last Easter eggs I want to show you are in the Sanctum Sanctorum set. Say that 5 times fast. Since this is a Marvel set, of course you're gonna have your pictures of Doctor Strange and ads to join the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But not only does this set have a crazy play function, but it also has a super sick Easter egg similar to the Route 25 one in the Bridge Battle set. Right next to the ad for S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a giant portal that only experienced sorcerers can access. Once inside, you'll find some of Strange's most powerful artifacts, like the Book of Cagliostro, guarded by golden chains and the Time Stone. But the Easter egg is way cooler than this. At the top of the building, there's an ad for Captain America's exhibit at the Bricksonium Museum. Now, this may seem like nothing, but let me tell you why it's so cool. First of all, this is a direct reference to this exact exhibit in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier movie. But best of all, the Sanctum Sanctorum is in New York City, the same place the Smithsonian Museum is in real life. See what I mean? Just like Route 25, a lot of things had to line up for LEGO to be able to put this Easter egg in this set. Up first, did you know that you can buy LEGO at the airport? It isn't in every single one, but in America, you can find LEGO vending machines and even actual LEGO stores too. The first airport in America to get a LEGO store was Salt Lake City Airport in Utah, but there's also stores in Miami, Dallas, and LaGuardia Airport in New York. The coolest one by far though is the store in Billund Airport, and back in 2018, if you went to this store, you could have gotten your hands on the Billund Airport set, which you could only buy at that LEGO store. Up next is the fact that LEGO was actually supposed to go broke a while ago, but got saved by a certain theme in 2001. That theme is LEGO Bionicle, and I know it's hard to believe, but yes, LEGO actually was going broke during that time. In 1998 and 2000, LEGO didn't make any profit at all, and at the end of the day, they are a business, so this was very bad news for them at the time. This made LEGO realize that bricks on their own just aren't cutting it anymore. So Kjeld Kirk Christiansen and Christian Faber, the art director at the time, put their heads together and came up with Bionicle. It was unlike anything LEGO had ever made before, but since they were losing money, it was do or die. As we know today, it worked out. Bionicle is one of the coolest themes LEGO's ever released, and it was so successful that it even got its own show on Cartoon Network. The funny thing about LEGO though is that they didn't always make plastic toys. Before the bricks we all know and love, LEGO actually made wooden toys instead. It started back in 1932, when the founder of LEGO, Ole Kirk Christiansen, started making and selling wooden toys by hand. LEGO has an entire overview of every wooden toy from back then, and the earliest one we know of is a yo-yo, which was made in 1930. Ole Kirk made a ton of wooden toys before eventually switching to plastic bricks though. There is a doll carriage from 1934, a tow truck from 1948, and there's even a grasshopper from 1957. Everything changed in 1959 though, because this is when Ole Kirk decided to put down the chisel and make LEGO what it is today. That year, the wooden toys were officially pulled from the LEGO product line and renamed Bilofix. If you love LEGO as much as me, then subscribe to my channel. I post videos just like this one every single week. Anyways, getting back to the video, to show you how far LEGO's come since those wooden toys, let me tell you about the time they sent minifigures to space. Yeah, I'm being serious. Back in 2011, NASA sent a probe out to Jupiter, and on board were 3 minifigures. These 3 minifigs were all based on Greek gods, being Jupiter, his wife Juno, and Galileo. And even though they don't have any color, they're unmistakably LEGO. Unfortunately, the probe these minifigs were on wasn't ever supposed to come home. NASA sent this probe out to Jupiter to get a closer look at it, and to do that, they literally crashed the probe into the planet. It happened back in 2016, so these minifigures are long gone by now, but it's still crazy that LEGO minifigures saw Jupiter in person before a human. They never would have been able to do this if LEGO wasn't known for being extremely good at what they do, and that brings us to our next fact. Originally, LEGO bricks weren't as accurate as they are today. Don't get me wrong, they were still super good, but in 1963, LEGO changed the material they were using to make bricks, and it was way more stable than what they'd been using at the time. With this new material, LEGO was able to make bricks within 1/200th of a millimeter, which for just a plastic toy is an insane accomplishment. With bricks this accurate, you could quite literally build a house with them, and funnily enough, in 2021, someone did that exact thing. Okay, I guess it wasn't exactly that, but a company called Gablock took a ton of inspiration from LEGO. They made giant insulated interlocking bricks to make building a home way less complicated. If you use these to build a house, not only could you say that your house is made out of giant LEGO bricks, but it would also take way less time. See, these bricks don't require tools at all. Literally all you have to do is build with them just like LEGO. All this talk about a LEGO house reminded me though. Did you know that LEGO has their own house in Billund, Denmark? They call it the ultimate LEGO experience, and as true as that is, it's crazy how many people don't even know that it exists. The LEGO house is basically basically just a giant Lego museum, but you can do so much more there than just look around. The biggest thing they advertise are the Lego zones, which are all labeled with different colors. It'd take a while for me to explain all of them, so if you want to know more, just go to the Lego House website, hover Explore, then click Experiences. This place even has its own Lego store, and you guessed it, there are sets at this store that can only be bought at the Lego House, like the minifigure tribute set. Honestly, this place has a ton of secrets all on its own that you've probably never heard about, but the biggest one by far is the rumored Lego vault. The internet will tell you that Lego's had a bunch of different vaults in different places over the years, but one that for sure exists is the vault under the Lego Idea House, which is actually a different museum dedicated to the history of the Lego group, but that's a whole other story. This vault has a copy of just about every Lego set ever made, and it's entirely underground, so it really is a vault. Video proof of this vault was uploaded on YouTube by Beyond the Brick, and this video is over 7 years old now. But would you believe me if I told you that around a year and a half ago, they visited a different Lego vault? Apparently, the vault in the basement of the Lego Idea House wasn't the only place where you could find every Lego set ever made, because the same thing was done in the Lego Archive building. Now, if I'm being transparent, there isn't a lot of information available online about this new archive building, so it's entirely possible that Lego moved everything from the original vault to this new building. But either way, it's still sick. Lego seems to have a lot of secrets in their home city of Billund, but there's another city on Earth with one of the coolest Lego accomplishments ever. That city is Sydney, Australia, and it's home to the biggest Lego store ever made. The store is just under 10,000 square feet, which is 1,500 feet bigger than the Orlando, Florida store, the second biggest Lego store in the world. If you've ever been to a Lego store, then you know that there are always a ton of builds out on display, and since the store in Sydney is the biggest, you know they had to have a giant build too. Their build of choice was the Sydney Harbor Bridge, made with 550,000 bricks, which took 3,600 hours to build. I'm not even sure how tall it is, but for Lego to make something like this, the bricks would have to be pretty strong, right? Well, considering all of us have probably stepped on a brick at some point in our lives, we know those bricks are strong. But did you know that a singular Lego brick can handle over 950 pounds of force? It's no wonder bricks don't even bend when you step on them. I mean, these things are literally engineered not to break. Speaking of engineering, Lego bricks are so well recognized that they've been used to test the structural integrity of buildings against natural disasters. I know that sounds a little confusing, so let me explain. Basically, if a development company wants to make a new building, they need to make sure it's structurally sound. So what some of them do is make a mini version of the building they want to make out of Lego bricks and use it to test for things like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, or any other natural disaster that might happen. The most popular one to test for though are earthquakes, and since Lego bricks are engineered to near perfection, they're perfect for something like this. With all of these bricks that Lego's making, you'd honestly think they're polluting the entire planet. But did you know that Lego factories actually run on 100% renewable energy? This is a goal that Lego started working on way back in 2012, and they wanted to achieve it by 2020. Funnily enough though, they were actually 3 years ahead of their goal and got the factories to run on renewable energy back in 2017, so they've actually been doing it for a while now. Wholesome stuff like this is another reason why people love Lego so much, but it doesn't end with preserving the climate. Lego has a project called the Braille program, and since 2020, they've been helping visually impaired kids learn with Lego bricks. In case you didn't know, Braille is a language that was created for people who can't see very well. You basically run your fingers over dots to read, and Lego has an entire program dedicated to this. One of the easiest ways humans learn how to do something is when they're having fun. So Lego's take on that was helping children learn Braille through playing with their bricks. See what I mean? Lego is definitely one of the best companies the world has ever seen. So I guess it's not surprising to see that they sell 7 Lego sets every second. Actually, scratch that. Are you kidding? 7 sets every second is genuinely out of this world. That's 604,800 sets per day. This isn't even during the holidays either. Around Christmas time, the number quadruples, and they sell 28 sets per second. The amount of sheer volume here is unbelievable, and the fact that they use renewable energy to do all this is the cherry on top. While I'm talking about insane feats in the factory, let me tell you a few more. First of all, as of 2022, Lego produces more than 60 billion bricks and 340 million minifigures every single year. Second of all, in the Billund factory alone, more than 2 million Lego elements are made every hour, which totals out to about 20 billion every year. Third of all, Lego is the biggest tire manufacturer in the entire world. I know that one sounds crazy, but it's actually true. Back in 2010, Lego was given that title in the Guinness Book of World Records, having made over 380 million tires. Since then, the number has only gone up, and they've been able to keep their spot at the top ever since. Honestly, I don't think anyone is ever going to dethrone Lego from this record. There's no way another company will make enough cars to beat them. If the fact that Lego makes tires surprises you though, then you won't believe what else they've made over the years. I'm sure you've seen Lego keychains before, but did you know that Lego's made board games before too? They've made a few chess sets in their time, but they have a retired theme called LEGO Games, where every set was made into a game and played by the builders. They've also made some super sick alarm clocks. Most of them are modeled after minifigures, and they're scaled up so you can actually read the time on it. Speaking of scaled up minifigures, did you know that if minifigures were scaled up to human size, they'd only be 4 feet tall? These calculations were made by a man named Tom Elfin, and I can't even begin to try and check his work, so let's just assume he's right. The next fact on my list is that the 2007 Millennium Falcon was the first LEGO set to have more than 5,000 pieces. Now, obviously, these days we have a ton of sets with well over 5,000 pieces, but this old Millennium Falcon is the set that started it all. Honestly, this doesn't surprise me. LEGO Star Wars is quite literally a staple of LEGO, and the theme did a lot for the company. Like, did you know that LEGO Star Wars has the first licensed LEGO set ever? The theme started all the way back in 1999, so it's a little difficult to find exactly what set came out first, but based on what the internet is saying, this Landspeeder set was the first one. Since then, LEGO has been able to license way more sets and give us stuff we never would have been able to have before. So not only did LEGO Star Wars give us that, but they also set the stage for giant LEGO sets. But, of course, we'd be nowhere without the original LEGO bricks. But the thing about them is that the color palette was actually way smaller than you might think. Originally, LEGO only made bricks in 7 colors: white, black, gray, red, blue, yellow, and sometimes green. Now, even though this seems really random, they actually took inspiration from an artist named Piet Mondrian. Most of his art used these colors, and I guess LEGO took a liking to them. Up next is an Easter egg hidden in the Stranger Things Upside Down set. In Season 2, Episode 4 of Stranger Things, Chief Hopper goes to investigate a pumpkin patch at a local farm. This ended up being a super important investigation, since it revealed so much about the Upside Down. You can't see it once the LEGO set is complete, but if you take a look at the instructions, you'll see that there's actually a pumpkin piece in the back of Hopper's car, referencing the pumpkin patch that he investigated. Up next is a super secret Easter egg in the Minecraft crafting box set, but the only way you can find it is if you take the whole thing apart. Before you do that though, look at what this part of the set actually looks like. Okay, got it in your head? Now look at what happens when you take a few parts off. The base of this set is actually a map of the set itself. It's super subtle, and you might not notice it even if you build it yourself. But if you built this next set, there's no way you'd miss this Easter egg. I'm talking about the LEGO Magic of Disney set. You can detach a lot of this set without taking apart any pieces, including some parts of Mickey Mouse. If you pop off the left arm, you'll find a brick-built pattern of Woody from Toy Story. Now, usually LEGO designers won't make their Easter eggs this obvious, but this one wasn't actually made by a LEGO designer. This set is part of the LEGO Ideas theme, which means a fan made this set, not one of LEGO's designers. The fans' favorite kids movie is Toy Story, so they wanted to pay homage to their favorite cowboy without fully including him in the set. Nice touch. Up next, the fourth Easter egg is hidden inside the LEGO Harry Potter Gringotts Bank set. Since this LEGO set is based on a movie series, there are loads of Easter eggs to choose from, but there's a certain one that's obviously the coolest. There are 3 vaults in this set, but I want to talk about the one at the bottom. This vault belongs to Bellatrix Lestrange, one of the main villains in the series. We see her vault in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione go looking for a Horcrux. While they were in there though, everything they touched started to duplicate, which made things very difficult for them. Now, you'd think there was no way to mimic this in a LEGO set, but you'd actually be wrong. If you open up Bellatrix's vault and push on the wall in the back, a bunch of golden goblets show up out of nowhere. They may not be duplicating, but this is a super cool way to reference that scene from the movie. If we're gonna talk about references though, then I have to show you this insane reference in the Legend of Zelda Deku Tree set. When you think of an Easter egg, you usually think about something hidden, but this one is actually in plain sight. After you build Link's house, you might notice a sign with a bunch of squiggles all over it. This isn't just any sign though. It's written in the language Hylian, and it reads, "It's a secret to everybody." This sentence is an Easter egg throughout the entire Zelda franchise, so it's awesome that LEGO continued the legacy in their set. While I'm talking about the Deku Tree set though, there's one more Easter egg that you just have to know about. In the Zelda games, there's a big plant-like character named Hetsu, who famously holds a pair of maracas. Well, you can actually build Hetsu in this set. And look, he even has his maracas too. Wanna know something crazy though? They actually make noise. Listen to this clip. This was super easy to pull off too. All you had to do was put a stud in each maraca. It's simple, but it works really well, and it's a great Easter egg for true Zelda fans. Up next is a super funny Easter egg in the LEGO City Undercover video game. When it comes to video games, most Easter eggs are either secret endings or hidden items, but this one is totally different. This LEGO game is based on the LEGO City theme. Nothing more, nothing less. But for some reason, there's a Mario mystery block you can actually interact with. This game came out all the way back in 2013, so fans thought LEGO was hinting at a LEGO Mario game. But 11 years later, we still don't have that game, so the devs really just did this for fun. This next Easter egg though is probably the funniest thing you've seen in LEGO. As you probably know, LEGO loves hiding pieces inside of brick heads. There's a plant inside Eve, a small brain for Homer, and way more. But what do you think they put inside the Woody from Toy Story brickhead? Well, they actually put a few pieces of stuffing, which is hilarious, but it's also true. In Toy Story 2, when Woody was getting fixed, we saw on his arm that he was actually made of stuffing. Since I showed you Woody though, I have to show you what LEGO did for the Buzz brickhead too. Buzz isn't a doll like Woody. He's an action figure, so the stuffing pieces won't work here. So instead, LEGO threw in some makeshift battery pieces. Just like how we saw what Woody was made of in Toy Story 2, we saw Buzz's batteries in Toy Story 3 when he got reset by Lotso. So both of these Easter eggs are accurate with the movies. When it comes to movies and TV shows though, LEGO never misses their mark with Easter eggs. In the LEGO Batman the Animated Series Gotham City set, there are too many references and Easter eggs to count. But there's one in here that definitely stands out from the rest. All the way in the bottom right of the set, there are two gray pieces sitting right next to each other. Looking at the shape, you might think they look like gravestones. And, well, that's because they are. These two gravestones represent Batman's parents, which is definitely a little morbid, but just wait, it goes deeper. If you take off the piece the gravestones are attached to, you'll find two brown ingots, and these are meant to be their coffins. I guess not every LEGO Easter egg has a happy ending. Up next is one of the funniest Easter eggs in all of LEGO, and it's in the LEGO Ninjago City Market set. This set is pretty big, having over 6,000 pieces, so it's a little difficult to find Easter eggs. But if you actually built this set yourself, there's no way you'd miss it. If you look at the top of the set, you'll see a bathroom, and believe it or not, this is where the Easter egg is. The toilet in this bathroom actually flushes and sends the poop through a drain system to the outside of the set. It's by far one of the funniest Easter eggs in LEGO, but it is pretty well known, so let me show you one that I guarantee you haven't seen before. This is the LEGO Paranormal Intercept bus set, part of the now retired theme Hidden Side. The bus is basically just a giant lab for the minifigs to work in. But what does every lab need? A computer. In the back of the bus, there's a micro PC setup with two monitors. Do you see it yet? The left monitor is showing a LEGO Bionicle game that's been canceled for years. The last time this video game was even playable was 2005, so people didn't even really know what it was. The Easter egg in this next set though is one that everyone recognized. This is the LEGO Bowser set, and since it's Mario, you already know there's gonna be some Easter eggs in here. First of all, Bowser can shoot a fireball out of his mouth, but that's not even what I'm here for. Once you build the set, you'll have this podium that Bowser is meant to stand on. Well, if you knock over the right pillar, it'll reveal a secret power box from the Mario video games. These power boxes are super helpful in game, and they're usually a little hard to find too. So it's cool that LEGO brought that theme over to this set. But if you thought that was it for LEGO Mario Easter eggs, forget about it, because I got one more for you. This is the LEGO question mark block set, and no, the Easter egg isn't just that you can reveal the 3 different worlds. In fact, it has nothing to do with the 3 worlds at all. It's completely hidden. If you go to the front of the block, there's a part of it you can actually pull up, revealing a secret Bowser lurking in the shadows. That isn't all though. If you take Bowser out and press down on what he was standing on, a secret battle arena will pop out at the bottom. This isn't just any battle arena though. This represents Bowser's Stadium from Super Mario 64, a classic level that a ton of Mario fans love. I know people aren't the biggest fans of these Mario sets, but you gotta give it to LEGO. These Easter eggs really are next level. But LEGO might have outdone themselves with this next Easter egg. If you watched my first video on Easter eggs, you might remember me talking about a laundromat laundering money in the Brick Bank set. Well, LEGO actually kept this Easter egg going in this police station set from 2021. On the right side of the police station building, there's a billboard from the laundromat that was doing the money laundering. This is one of the only times I've seen LEGO bring an Easter egg across multiple sets, especially one that they made themselves. So it was pretty cool to see. This next Easter egg though is probably one of the coolest ones in this whole video. Way back in 2006, LEGO released the LEGO Star Wars 2 The Original Trilogy video game. But there's a certain spot on Tatooine that you might have missed. In the Mos Eisley spaceport level, there's a giant sign promoting the LEGO Star Wars movie. Well, if you walk under the sign and swap to R2-D2, you can actually get inside this movie theater and see the LEGO Star Wars movie on the big screen. All you have to do is break the lights and chairs, rebuild them, and bam, the movie starts playing. Technically, it isn't a real movie, it's just cutscenes from the first LEGO Star Wars video game, but it's still sick either way. While I'm talking about LEGO Star Wars, let me show you an Easter egg in the 40th anniversary Death Star set. If you go around the side of the Death Star and pull down one of the panels, two studs will be sitting there, one black and one beige. Well, these studs actually represent Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader when they fought on the Death Star in the Return of the Jedi. LEGO loves doing stuff like this in micro builds, like they did it in the Little Hand set too. On the inside of the ship, there's a yellow and brown stud sitting right next to each other, and these two represent Obi-Wan and Anakin when they crash landed on Coruscant in the beginning of the Revenge of the Sith. There are a lot more Easter eggs just like these two in LEGO Star Wars sets, but let's just move on to the next Easter egg. The 19th Easter egg is hidden in the Lord of the Rings Rivendell set, and would you believe me if I told you it was actually evil? I know it may not look like it, but there's an evil here lurking in the depths, literally. If you take off the circular piece with all the chairs on it, you'll find a giant eye of Sauron sitting right there. Sauron is the Dark Lord in the Lord of the Rings series, and this eye is his symbol, so this is definitely a bad omen for Frodo and the gang. Let's move away from that though, and take a look at the Amazing Spider-Man art set. There isn't a lot of room for Easter eggs here, but I promise, there's one here for sure. This set came out in August of 2023, which is important to know because it came out after Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. There were a bunch of new characters in that movie, but one of the most popular ones was Spider-Man 2099. Now, take a look at the box for the Spider-Man art set. Notice anything? Well, this set comes with exactly 2,099 pieces. Listen, you might think I'm reaching here, but just remember, no LEGO reference is done by accident. The designers always know what they're doing. And for the last Easter egg in this video, I have the perfect example of that. This is the Tales of the Space Age set, made in April of 2023, and it's actually a really tasteful set. With the 688 pieces, you can build 4 different 3D postcards, all of which look like a completely different part of the universe. As you can see, all of them have different color palettes, because the artist wanted to show what sunsets might look like on different planets. Speaking of the artist, this is where the Easter egg comes in. The man who designed this set has a name I can't pronounce, but all that matters is that he's Polish. Now, if we take a look at the back of these postcards, you might notice something at the bottom of them. On the blue and green postcards, there's a white piece and a red piece stacked on top of each other. Well, these very out-of-place colors were placed there by the Polish designer, and these pieces are the Polish flag. LEGO designers love slipping in Easter eggs about themselves when they build sets, and what better way to do it than with this super subtle flag on the back? I want to ask you guys a question. Did you know that there are technically no pink LEGO bricks? LEGO was originally made in Denmark, and Danish doesn't have a word for the color pink. Funnily enough though, there is actually a LEGO piece that uses the word pink. It's called flamingo pink, but it wasn't used for a flamingo. It was used for these pink flowers way back in 2006. It was only in 2 sets and it hasn't been back since, which makes it a pretty rare LEGO color. Flamingo pink isn't the only color that has some value to it though. There's a color known as sand green that has a bit of a story to it. It was first introduced with the Statue of Liberty set back in 2000. Now, even though sand green bricks are technically in hundreds of LEGO sets, this is the only one where you can get a bunch of them in one go. This set is valued at around $6,000, which is crazy for a LEGO set. Because of this, the value of individual sand green bricks went up as well. While we're on the topic of the color green, I want to direct your attention to the LEGO Minecraft Frozen Peak set. At first glance, you might not notice anything, but I'm sure if any Minecraft lovers are watching, you guys noticed right away. For some reason, Steve seems to be wearing bright green armor. In case you didn't know, there's a material in Minecraft called emerald, but it isn't possible to make armor out of it. The only way to make green armor in Minecraft is to dye leather, but it looks nothing like what Steve has on in this set. I don't really know what happened, but someone definitely messed up. This next LEGO item is sure to make you scratch your head. This is the LEGO Golf gift set. And guess what? There's not a single brick in this entire product. This is actually a super rare Lego themed golf set that was given out to employees as a gift for a very short period of time. As you can see, everything that comes with this set is branded with the Lego logo, so it definitely isn't fake. This item is so rare that Bricklink doesn't even have any listed. So if you somehow have one of these things, you have an insanely rare piece of Lego history. Up next is something you'd only notice if you knew Lego like the back of your hand. This is the Lego Mobile Police Dog Training Set. And as you can see, there's a pretty odd looking minifigure here. It's supposed to look like one of those dog trainers that wears a protective suit for bite training. Usually this would be impossible to pull off with a regular minifigure, so Lego decided to repurpose the cactus minifigure. This is a super cool example of Lego thinking outside the box. But stick around, because there are some more that are way crazier than this. For you to know this next secret, you'd have to have tracked a character across the Lego universe for 6 whole years. This is Infernox from the Power Miners theme. He was originally made in 2010 and was featured in the Clawcatcher set. Obviously, he's a very small rock monster here, but in a set from 2016, he turned into this. This is the Infernox Captures the Queen set from the Nexo Knights theme, and as the name says, this giant monster is Infernox. I don't know what this guy did to get so massive in just 6 years, but it's safe to say there's no way I would have noticed this without the help of the internet. This next secret was technically available to the public, but it's so old that I don't even remember it existing. This is the Lego Avatar: The Last Airbender theme, released in 2006. This theme was based on the Nickelodeon show Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of the most popular kids shows ever. Only 2 sets were made for this theme, which is really weird considering how big this show was. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but clearly this theme wasn't meant to happen, because the whole thing was scrapped a year after it was introduced. Speaking of famous kids shows, did you know that Lego made a SpongeBob theme too? The theme was originally brought out all the way back in 2007, with the debut set being Mrs. Puff's Boating School. The theme was retired in 2013, but in the 6 years it was around, only 14 sets were made in total. Makes you wonder why Lego decided to keep it around for so long, since basically nothing happened with it. Up next is a super cool Easter egg in the Nintendo Entertainment System set. The coolest part about this Easter egg is the only way you know about it is if you actually built the set yourself. But these days we have the internet, so we can skip that step. On the back of the console, there's a removable panel that reveals a very familiar looking setup. Upon closer look, people figured out that it was the 1-2 level from the original Mario game. Even cooler than this was the fact that the level was underground and had a black background, making its location in the set very accurate and nostalgic. For this next secret, you'd really have to be in the loop to know that it's even there. This is the London bus set, and the Easter egg here lies within the license plate. If you didn't know, Lego is notorious for making all sorts of references on their car license plates, with a bunch of them being in the set for James Bond's car. But for the London bus, the black license plate on the front showcases the set number and the initials of the designer of the set, Martin Graf Wang. I guess when you're a Lego designer, you get to do cool stuff like add your own initials to sets. Pretty cool. While we're on the topic of Lego references, let's take a look at the Galaxy Cruiser set from 2022. Fun fact about this set, it's actually a remake of a much older version from all the way back in 1979. It's a classic Lego set that a lot of people love, so the remake had a lot of hype. On the new version's radar screen, you can see a logo for a group called Blacktron. They were the bad guys from the classic space line. People thought this was just a cool Easter egg until Lego released a new and improved Blacktron Cruiser set in 2023. On the radar screen in this set was a picture of the Galaxy Cruiser, so the Easter egg was brought full circle. For this next secret, I want to switch gears and tell you about some sets you might not even know exist. Every year, Lego hosts this crazy tour of their original factory in Denmark. It lasts a whole 3 days and is the perfect getaway for any Lego fanatic. The problem is that it can get pretty expensive, so a lot of people tend to steer clear of it. What they don't know though, is that they're actually missing out on Lego sets that can only be purchased at the inside tour. Sets like Ole Kirk's house, a model of the founder of Lego's house, or the Lego Truck Show set, a set that tells the story of a real Lego truck show that happened across Europe. These sets and so many more were available at the Lego Inside Tour, but if you thought about buying them, guess again, because they're only available for a singular year, making the resale value insanely high. Another insanely secret Lego set is the Christmas X-Wing set. It's a complete reskin of the iconic X-Wing from Star Wars. This set wasn't even available to the public though, so there's no way you could have gotten your hands on it. That is, unless you worked for Lego during the holidays in 2019. This set was actually given out to Lego employees as Christmas gifts that year. Yeah, you literally had to work for Lego to be able to get this thing, which is a shame to be honest. I think I can speak for all of us guess when I say that I'd buy this thing instantly. This wasn't the only gift given out to LEGO employees though. This is a solid gold LEGO brick. It's made of 14 karat gold and was also given out to people who worked for LEGO. The brick wasn't given to just anyone though. You had to have been working at the Hohenwestedt factory in Germany for 25 years to get this. Along with this, it was only given out 2 or 3 times, all the way back in 1979, making it one of the rarest LEGO products to ever exist. Up next is a LEGO secret you'd only notice if you were really paying attention. This is the dark saber from Star Wars. It's been seen many times, but most famously in the show The Mandalorian. Since this show got so big, LEGO made a super sick version of the dark saber and threw it in with the Mandalorian set. What you might not know though is that this isn't the first dark saber that LEGO's released. The dark saber has been around for ages in the Star Wars universe, so before it was as known as it is today, LEGO didn't really need to worry about it. This is the original dark saber, and it's only been featured in 2 sets ever, the Mandalorian Speed and Pre-Vizsla's Mandalorian Fighter sets. So if you have this thing laying around somewhere, you've got a pretty rare lightsaber on your hands. While we're talking about LEGO Star Wars, I want to show you a minifigure you might not have seen before. This is Max Rebo, and unlike the dark saber, this guy is only available in one LEGO set, Jabba's Sail Barrage. Max Rebo is a musician for Jabba the Hutt's band. His screen time was very limited, and he didn't have one line in any of the movies. Combine all of these factors, and you end up with a pretty unknown minifigure. Okay, so we all know LEGO isn't perfect, and sometimes they make some pretty insane mistakes. This one though is on a whole other level. This is a LEGO City Sheriff minifigure. Looks pretty normal, right? Well, imagine you bought a LEGO City set with one of these in it, just to open up the set and see this thing fall out. This is by far the minifigure with the biggest dome in history. If you have any questions about anything LEGO related, make sure you ask this guy. For this next secret, I need you to try not to go insane. Here we have a LEGO sausage piece. There's nothing special about it, it's just a regular old sausage. What makes this piece so interesting is how LEGO uses it. It's by far the most versatile LEGO piece in LEGO history. It's been used for all sorts of different things, like stems in wildflowers, eyebrows on the Statue of Liberty, and support beams on the Eiffel Tower. This piece has been around since 1998, and since its initial release, LEGO's remade it in 13 different colors, allowing them to use it however they want. This isn't the only weird piece LEGO has done this with though. They've also done it with a frog, most famously on the bonsai tree set. If you look close enough, you'll notice that every single pink leaf is actually a frog, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. LEGO can get super creative with stuff like this, and it's made for some very memorable sets. For this next secret, I have to tell you guys about an Easter egg that's from outside of LEGO. In every Pixar movie, there's a reference to the sequence A113. The reason for this is because it's the classroom at the California Institute of Art where students learn to animate. Most alumni from this school ended up at Pixar, so they wanted to honor the classroom in their movies. Funnily enough, this actually got carried over into LEGO. This is a spy jet escape set, and it's based on a scene from Cars 2. If you look on the back of the plane, you can actually see A113 printed right on it. I guess LEGO never backs down from a bit. Up next is another reference that's exactly where it belongs. This is the Indiana Jones Lost Tomb set from the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. This secret reference is a little difficult to find, so I'll point it out to you. Up at the top of the set, there's a flat LEGO piece with some hieroglyphs on it, but they aren't all hieroglyphs. 2 of them are actually the outlines of R2-D2 and C-3PO from Star Wars. Now, you might be wondering what these 2 are doing in an Indiana Jones set. Well, the creator of Indiana Jones is actually the same guy who made Star Wars, George Lucas. Maybe this is the crossover he always dreamed of but could never make happen. Not every reference made in LEGO sets is happy though. One of the more sad ones can be found in the Ghostbusters HQ set from 2016. On one of the investigation boards, the phrase RIP-HR is written very clearly on one of the pieces of paper. This is actually there to honor the passing of Harold Ramis. The actor played the character Egon Spengler in the movie and also wrote the scripts for Ghostbusters 1 and 2. RIP Harold Ramis, he was a true legend. On a more positive note, let's take a look at the A-frame cabin set. This set actually has a few really cool details, and then a really funny one you might not notice. In the attic of the set, there's a spider sitting on one of the rafters, and in the back of the house, there's a piece that's supposed to replicate an outdoor shower. Pretty neat. The funny detail in this set though is that the stones that support the house are actually made up of Thor's hammer. Jeez, I knew Asgard fell, but I didn't know it fell that hard. Another set the LEGO designers loved making references in was the Hogwarts Castle and Grounds set from the Harry Potter theme. The list is a little long, so stay with me here. There are rooms for the key room, the chess room, and the room for the Sorcerer's Stone itself. There's also the Whomping Willow with Ron's car stuck in it, the Chamber of Secrets, and even the Potions classroom. This thing is absolutely loaded with references, and is the perfect Lego set for any Harry Potter fan. The big version also happens to have some references too, the biggest one being the number of pieces in the set. Every Lego set has a number on the box telling you how many pieces it is. For this set, 6,020 pieces were used to make it, which is insanely high. The secret here is that this number is actually referencing the Magic Shop set, one of the earliest Lego sets that includes a wizard. I guess the Wizarding World goes a little farther than Harry Potter. Now, I'm not too sure what it is, but for some reason, Lego loves putting references in smaller versions of giant sets. This is the mini Disney Castle set, and these references aren't too easy to see. If you manage to look through the front door, you'll see 3 black nanofigures inside. From here, you'll have to remove the top, but after this, you'll find a piece dedicated to the original Disney Castle set and a piece dedicated to Cinderella's glass slippers. These 2 items are huge parts of both Lego and Disney, so to see them referenced here is really interesting. Last but not least on my list is the Homer Simpson Brickhead set. It's a known fact that Homer Simpson is pretty dumb and really likes donuts, so Lego decided to add a few details to Homer's brickhead. First, instead of using a normal size pink brick for the brain, they used a much smaller one. And second, if you remove Homer's stomach, you'll open it up to find a bunch of donuts sitting in it, since he eats them literally all the time. Lego truly is one of the most dedicated companies of all time. What was your favorite secret in this video? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.